The weather is going to change a ton as we go into next week, just in time for Thanksgiving, where we do have the potential for another large storm that could be impacting the United States with maybe some snow and severe weather. But more importantly, we are going to be talking about a huge cold blast as we go into next week and also into the first week of December, where it could get very cold across a large chunk of the United States. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 10 days. But let's begin with what's happening across the country this morning. And to begin with, we do have a low pressure system that is spinning right over New York City this morning. This is what brought a lot of snowfall to areas like Cleveland, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and even New York over the last 24 hours. And by the way, if you did see snow, leave a comment down below. I'm curious to see if anybody did see some accumulation. I know for sure, though, Cleveland, Ohio saw some accumulation from some lake effect snow last night. Overall, the system is going to continue to move to the east over the next 24 hours, and the potential for snowfall will be diminishing as we go later into tonight. For the rest of the country, things are relatively dry across all the Great Plains in the southeast and as well as the Midwest. We are continuing to see atmospheric rivers that continue to penetrate tons of rainfall to areas like California and Washington over the next few days, and this is just going to continue. So again, be prepared for that. Flooding is becoming a big concern, especially in Northern California, where some areas could see 10 to 15 inches of rainfall. Now, for the next few hours, we will continue to see moderate to heavy snowfall across parts of Pennsylvania, New York, and also some snow back over in the Appalachian Mountains as far south as North Carolina and northern Georgia this morning. Eventually, as we go into the afternoon, the snow is going to transition more into a mixture or rain. Higher elevations of West Virginia could see some more accumulating snowfall tonight, and eventually by tomorrow morning, this system is moving off to the north and east, and we're basically done talking about snow, at least for the remainder of the weekend. In terms of snowfall accumulation here over the next few hours, we will continue to see plenty of snowfall. Again, many areas in northeastern Pennsylvania will be ending up around snow depth of around 15 inches, which is pretty significant. So definitely something to watch for there. Appalachian Mountains will have a snow depth anywhere from 3 to 6 inches. So again, plenty of snow on the ground. It will eventually start to melt as we go into Saturday, and a lot of it will probably melt off as we go into Sunday and Monday. Now let's talk more about the weather pattern that's going to be impacting the United States as we go into this weekend and next week, because things are going to be changing a lot, and we are going to have one of the biggest weather pattern changes that we've seen all fall long, and that is going to be basically revolving around a big Arctic blast potential as we get closer to the end of this month. So let's begin with what's happening here over the next 48 hours. Again, that trough is going to continue to spin as it moves to the east. There will be some showers and some snow showers today and tomorrow. Atmospheric rivers will continue on the west coast of the United States, bringing the potential for very heavy rainfall that will lead to flooding both today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Eventually, as we go into Sunday into Monday, there will be a little piece of energy that breaks off from that atmospheric river that will eventually lead to maybe some sort of little trough here in the Midwest as we go into Monday. There is a low chance that we actually could see a winter storm out of this, but I think the chances are still low. Definitely not zero, though. Definitely something to watch for in Wisconsin and the upper Michigan Peninsula, and as well as Minnesota Monday into Tuesday. And then eventually going into Tuesday night and into Wednesday, there will be some light snowfall back over in Canada. Now, the big talk next week will be the potential for either a large storm, a colder Arctic blast, or both as we get closer to Thanksgiving. Now, the GFS model has shown a much larger storm at times in different computer model runs. This is the most recent model run, and you'll see as we go into Wednesday, there will be some showers potentially back over in the lower Mississippi Valley. But here's really the big thing. As we go into late Wednesday into Thursday, there is a chance that this trough amplifies and grows in size. This particular model run does not show that. It just shows a blob of rain with maybe a little bit of snowfall in a couple of different areas. But this could easily change. We are still about 6 days out. There are definitely going to be changes to the forecast. Right now, though, it does not show a monster storm bringing a big winter storm or even really any severe weather by the looks of it, at least on this most recent model run. The European model has been a lot more bullish towards seeing some sort of big storm. So there's a lot of discrepancies right now with computer models, essentially, that we don't know necessarily if this will be some sort of large storm, but I would be watching closely anywhere in this particular area I just outlined for the potential for some sort of big storm next week. It's not guaranteed, but there could be something, and if something does happen, severe weather will be a possibility for sure, and then also the potential for a winter storm would also be a possibility on the far northern side of this. And for reference, this is what the European model shows as we go into next week. It shows that trough bringing some snowfall to areas in the Midwest as we go into Monday into Tuesday, just like the GFS. Here's where the discrepancies are, is how intense this trough will actually get, because you'll notice the European model has a much more organized trough as we go into Thanksgiving Day, mostly across the southeast northeast United States. But again, how quickly this forms is going to really tell the story on whether this could be a multi-day event or maybe it's just a one-day type severe weather or snowmaker, which again, both of those are still very uncertain since we don't have at least a solution yet in terms of what's going to be happening here. But it's definitely something to watch for. I think the bigger story though next week and as we go into the weekend is going to be the potential for a relatively large, at least cold blast, if not even an Arctic blast across parts of the Midwest, the Great Plains, Ohio Valley, and as well as the Northeast, which we're going to talk much more in detail about here in a moment. And with that being said, we could even see some lake effect snow come out of something like that. Now, in terms of rainfall over the next 7 days, this is all the way through Friday of next week. Many areas back over in the Southeast and as well as the Ohio Valley will likely get some rainfall. How much falls is still a little bit uncertain, but it depends on the trough intensity next week. The Northeast will continue to see plenty of rainfall for the next few days, and then back over in Northern California with the atmospheric river event, many areas will be picking up anywhere from 10 to 15 inches of rain over the next few days. Now, as we get closer to the end of November into early December, we could be talking about some sort of Arctic blast in the United States. What that basically means is that Arctic air could come out of Canada and actually move into the United States by the end of this month into early next month. And this is what the GFS model and the 500 millibar height anomalies is showing. It is showing a large cold air mass building as we get closer to Black Friday across areas like the Midwest. And you'll notice how it really amplifies by Saturday into Sunday into actually two different parts and really two different shots of cold air. And this is definitely going to be a big deal. I think we're going to see a very cold stretch of weather by the end of this month into early December. So definitely something to watch for, especially on the east and northeast parts of the United States. I think it could get very cold in a lot of areas over there. So definitely going to be something to talk about here over the next few days. Again, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. Let's go more specifically into how cold it actually might get as we go into next week. This is the 850 millibar chart, which shows you what's happening closer to the surface. So as we go into Friday and Saturday, that is when we're expecting a large cold air mass to move across much of the Great Plains, Midwest, and Ohio Valley. And again, a very cold pocket of air is very possible as we go into next weekend. I do want to reference, again, this is still about 8 to 9 days out, so this is still a little bit uncertain, but if we see something like this, we could see potentially record-breaking low and high temperatures across parts of the Midwest and even the Ohio Valley. So one of the coldest shots of air of the entire year is very possible next weekend. I'm not going to go ahead and say that that's definitely going to happen because, again, we are still several days out. Things could change. But with that said, if this does happen, how cold will it actually get? Well, I think at least as we go into the middle and end of next week around Thanksgiving. So this is Thanksgiving morning. I think many areas will be below freezing, anywhere from the Great Lakes back into the Central Plains. As we eventually go into Black Friday, that is when temperatures could get very cold across much of the country. This is Saturday morning. Again, freezing temperatures, at least the GFS model showing as far south as areas like Alabama and Georgia. And then eventually as we go into Sunday, it even gets colder across much of the Ohio Valley and Midwest. Many areas sub-zero for temperatures. That does not include wind chills, by the way. And then it also shows a freeze going as far south as Florida as we go into Monday. Again, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but obviously this is a trend that we need to watch closely because if this does end up happening, it could get very cold in a lot of areas. I personally don't think we're going to see freezing temperatures as far south as Florida at the beginning of December, but with that said, this is very entirely possible across the Ohio Valley if we do get an Arctic blast. So again, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll keep you posted with the latest with everything that you need to know about this potential Arctic blast that's coming to the United States. Temperature trend that the Climate Prediction Center is currently forecasting between Wednesday the 27th, which is right before Thanksgiving, on to December 1st is indicating that well below average temperatures are very possible across parts of the northern and central plains. Many areas likely to be sub-zero around and just after Thanksgiving. On the flip side of things, precipitation in terms of rainfall and even snow is expected to be above average across much of the country for Thanksgiving. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that has picked up our Happy Holidays merch so far on shopmaxvelocity.net, which is the top link in the description below. This is by far our most popular release to date when it comes to the first 24 hours. It was an unbelievable response from you guys. Everybody loves this design. I personally do as well. Highly recommend you check it out at shopmaxvelocity.net. We have this in the form of t-shirts, youth t-shirts, as well as v-necks, and as well as crew necks for the first time ever, and also mugs and stickers are available. Again, at shopmaxvelocity.net. It is the top link in the description below. Thank you guys so much for supporting our team and also our designer that makes all these merch items possible.